Welcome back, everybody. Thanks so much for subscribing, liking, following, sharing, whatever. The comments have been great. I got some good tips from you guys, which has given me leads, which I can then hopefully make some new features in the future. This isn't going to be like a 1,000 subscriber special or anything like that, because I actually planned this video weeks ago before we were even close to that number. But I will do something special just for the fun of it. But maybe we can look forward to that because it's not coming out soon. I've got a couple of videos that are already in the works, but for today, we're going to take an in-depth look at the training data. So something which we often skip over. In the past, I've often just given you a data set and just gone, hey, here it is on GitHub, go ahead and repeat my results. But let's just have a little bit of a talk about the actual data set. So thank you very much, everybody, for following. Head over to the Discord. We would love to see your work. Or new projects as well. Okay, so this is currently the set. There are 27 style groups. These are like bins. So I've just slammed two relevant tokens together. And then we've done a few experiments in here, but we'll get to that. And essentially what we're going to do is we're going to take, what I do is I copy the whole thing, and then I put it into a curation stage folder, which is exact copy. Only difference is I manually take the folder name. I have a script that does this, but you can just do it manually. It depends how many images you've got. If you've got thousands, I've got a script that will just make the file name of every image in the folder the same as the folder name. So then you can just sort into bins as you are building up the data set. And then when you want to actually make the caption pairs, I'm going to go through and show you how I've automated that. So it's a very simple. You go over to my GitHub, there's a link in the description, and into unsorted projects, you'll find caption by file name v1. If you go into there and open it in Colab, what we're going to do is we're going to run it in local mode on Jupyter. So first you will need to install Jupyter. I'll probably make a short on that because it's super easy. If you Google how to install Jupyter, you download and install it, and then you can run this batch file. We're going to do that now. And that's going to give me the key so that my computer can talk to the notebook. So I can use my local GPU to run Colabs. As I wrote this one myself, it should be good. So we're going to go to run local and Control-A, Control-V and connect. And we're in. We don't need Google Drive. So we're going to set up the paths, right? So I'm not going to need to put a custom token in because I've already done my token route, right? So I'm just going to go straight to curation stage. There it is. So curation stage. Set that. You click run. And then you click run. And then what it'll do is in a second, it will instantly use the file name to create a matching text file, which contains whatever the file name was. So you can use much, much longer routes. Sometimes it would be, a picture of a woman wearing a leather jacket. You can put much more detail in, and then it depends what the focus is. In this focus, we're looking at adding detail and depth by using small, it's like grid scale. There's extremely small details which are going to be repeatedly shown across the set in all the styles. It's going to be a density to the detail. Here, let me show you. So if I look at this, all these little fine lines everywhere in the distance on all of this is going to get remembered and trained. If I go to a different model, again, it's going to remember the concept of the moon being in half. And it's what we're trying to teach it. I want to teach it to get some nice, sharp detail lines, add some sort of little things in the background. Sometimes you get birds appear in the sky. Often that kind of stuff gets trained out because it's a sort of small detail. But anyway, there's also a couple of other experiments in here, but we'll get to that because I don't even know if they're going to work yet. So what we're going to do is go back. So once we've got our curation stage done, like the curation stage, we would remove things we don't want as well at this point. So if there was something in here I didn't want, if I, for example, thought that one of these, like, where is it, Crane House, it only has 3 images, so we might just remove it, okay, because it's probably not going to train very well with only 3 images. Another thing to note is, although this looks like just a collection of images, there is some method to it. Each image is different. They're vastly different, not slightly different. So it's not just a minor variation. They're all major variations in the same style. Also, they're going to be of different resolutions. So this one is 1000 by 1000 and the 24, obviously. But there will be others that are 2048. And like this one here is 1344 by 896. This one is 2688 by 1792. So we've got a bunch of different resolution scales. We've also got tall and wide aspect ratio inside a tight sort of, I aim for 12 to 24 images. This has got 26, so I got carried away. But the point is, you know, we're aiming for an average of 20 images. So that one that had 3 should really be getting more repeats, and it's not going to in an auto trainer like Civit. So might just drop it. Anyway, stuff to keep in mind. I've already looked at Phantasm. Proxima. So Proxima style is like a sort of, you know, futuristic Jupiter Mars type thing. And as far as I can see, these all look good. The only thing that I might do here is I might remove the extra moon with Photoshop, because sometimes it's like, well, why are there hundreds of moons? So that's, you know, that's the sort of thing you could do. You could also do color balance, color grading, lookup tables, contrast, monochromatic noise, all that good stuff before you train the images. So it's not just cropping and renaming files and making these pairs. And then, like I said, there's a bit of a balance. Like if you look at these images, they're not all the same. That is vastly different from that, is vastly different from that, but they are within the same style. So it is what it is. So that's the images that we've got. And like I said, now we've used this Jupiter. We're done with Jupiter for now, so we can close it, but probably use it again later to collect all the captions into one file at the very, very end. But that just makes our prompts more accurate. So here's a data set. As you can see, we've got some, look at the details on that. If we can teach these details, we're going to do well. All right. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to drop all of the images into a zip file. So if I go back to my curation stage and go back, okay, so now we have the root done. I would copy everything in here. Now I'm done, and I'd put it into the root done. So now I've got a third exact copy of the data set. But it's done so that you can backtrack if you make mistakes, as much as it is to see that you've changed it from the original state. So there's a lot of work that's done, and if you make a mistake with a bulk action, for example, it's not like the end of the world, because you're going to use a lot of actions if it's Photoshop, or macros if it's some other software, I guess, so that you can do folders with thousands of images not quickly. Right. So once you're done with processing the images and you're happy that you've got it all finalized, I would select all, right click, and compress to zip file. All right. I've probably already done this. Yeah, there it is. Not the true world v1. And this is the zip file that we're going to put into civitAI. All right. Because it is like, it will accept folders with, it will accept recursive. So you can have folders of, you know, multi-style, basically, multi-concept, whatever you want to call it. What's interesting about this is if you were doing like an object or a character, you can have different characters in folders and they won't blend together. So I haven't been able to, I haven't got a video showing you that, but it should work. So until I guess until I show you, it's not real, right? But no, there's other people that do this. So right, so that's everything. So now what we're going to do is we're going to head over to Civit. We have not the true world. So spoilers, this is time travel. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go back in time to a time when I just uploaded the images and they hadn't actually been trained yet, and I didn't know it was actually going to work. Cool. So the model is actually up for download, but now what we're going to do is we're going to go and have a look at the training, because it's gone from my screen now, because time travel, we're in the future. So let's go back to the past and speak to past, the Johnson of training past. Good news. Looks like all my captions have been recognized. So that's 286 and thing, style. Yeah, it looks good. So let's do auto tag. Now I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to hit append and submit. Okay, let's take a look at the results. So taking a look, no humans, sky above clouds, tower, city, So there's no people in any of these. So I shouldn't have to edit them. So this is looking pretty good. Let's take a random pick through. Bird. There's a bird apparently somewhere in there. 32, 30. These look pretty good. Now, which one is that? Is that download the caption? I don't know. Let's just go yes. And do I want to share the data set? Yes. It's fine. I'm going to put it on GitHub anyway. It'd be nice to have a multi-folder version, a multi-folder data set for people to test with. So I made all these on Midjourney in an evening, so it's not a big deal. But give them away. Give them away. All right, it's uploading. So while it's uploading, a couple of notes. There are some concerns with this. Sometimes, depending on the way that you're training, the model that you're training, these sorts of things doesn't work because it blends everything together. Also, with the uneven number of images in each folder, that also can cause a problem, as we were talking about repeats earlier. And to be honest, we never really got into something else, which we'll touch on now. So if I was to take a look at these images and think about what it is that I'm actually trying to teach, style training is a bit like an aesthetic. So the composition is going to be learned, the details are going to be learned, but it's almost like if I give it a very tight definition of what things are, like for example, it might decide that this sort of round dome needs to be more prominent than it is in this image, or this structure, or maybe it will like the cranes or the counterweights. I don't really know, but I like all of it, so I'm going to try and teach it. And then when I can trigger off world style, it's going to put that into images in its way, in the way it's learned. So you don't really get exactly this. But for example, I would like to be able to augment this with a jungle style and have it be my jungle style, not any jungle style, but like Jungle City, for example, and then see what it does by the blending of the two. So in this way, we can make new styles and mix things together. But that's if it's successful. So that comes down to, that's the work, really. That's the bit that you've got to go and do it over and over and over again. Okay, it's the next day. So welcome back. We're going to take a look at the results. It's been a full 12 hours. I just went to sleep. It took forever to upload, and I did have to upload it twice. So that's a note. If you notice that the upload dialog is just kind of frozen, just try refreshing the page and going through that first page again. So let's take a look at the results. Let's see if it's actually managed to train anything, because if I'm being honest, it probably shouldn't work. So let's have a look and see. So let's see what it's done. This is very experimental, because what I think is going to happen is it's going to kind of bleed a bit. So let's have a look. Yeah, it has. It's bled. Every single concept seems to have bled into every other concept. So it seems like doing multi-folders with whatever approach they use doesn't keep them separate. Okay, well, there's the results of that test. Just to give you an idea of what I'm going on about, the model had a bias towards the jungle stuff, So I didn't show that, but if you were to look at the actual counts of images, then I know what's going to be overrepresented if it all blends together. And that means I know what to expect. Also, interestingly, we've got a bit of a grid here. Oh, hang on a minute. I'm wrong. What's going on here? Jungle City, Paradise Style, Water World. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like, oh, wait a minute. It's used random tags to do the test prompts. Huh. And that's not a good way to prompt it. You'd have to prompt one or maybe two of them because it's going to, you start smashing. If I said cat dog, you'll get away with it. But if I said cat dog table, well, you're out, Now you've gone off into something that doesn't work. Oh, it's a shame I can't run a test prompt. Well, what I'll probably do is the classical sort of thing that we do, which is to take the best mid and the best end. And that usually ends up being 5 and 10. But I'm just checking the other ones to see. 8 is pretty good, but it's quite misty. It's very difficult to judge because these are bad prompts. They're bad prompts to judge it on. 6 is actually pretty good. I think, well, obviously I'm going to grab 10. So we'll download that. How big is it? 220 meg. Okay, cool. It only cost 500 buzz, even for 300 images. So it feels like whatever metric they used to calculate the training cost, it didn't make any difference whether it was 11 or 300 images. Didn't make any difference. It was the same cost. So that's an interesting thing to note. So what we're going to do is we're going to download this model and we're going to throw it in Comfy, but we'll throw it in Comfy with sensible captions because the problem is that obviously this is crazy. You say if I had a multi-style model, you wouldn't ever make a prompt containing, 4 or more styles. And we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 styles in each test prompt. I don't know why it's done that either, because no individual prompt would have had, these are all from separate folders. So I don't know what's gone on there. Very interesting. So yeah, it's going to download that for us, and then we will boot up Comfy and take a look. Okay, so we're going to publish and set it up. So if you're not familiar with this, basically the setup is we're just going to put in a couple of things. So I'm going to say style. All right, style D. Now just go space style, space style. Oh man, what do you mean? Styles, fine, styles. What does your model do? And I'm just going to say TBA because I want to do that in a bit. I'll write that in another editor and copy it in. I don't want you to sell it really. You can use it on Civit. You can use it on another. I would like to get some credit for it, but hey, it's the internet. No, don't use different permissions, please. And go ahead and share merges. Yep, that's all good. Okay, and next. And then it's going to ask for the base. So we just say SDXL 1.0, version change, initial release, 715 steps. Seems a little undertrained, but hey, what do I know? It's an auto trainer. I don't know what the settings were. Monetizing, don't care. Require users to be logged in. This is a test. We're doing this for education. And then it asked me to give it some images. I don't have any. But it's made some, and they're a bit crap because obviously it's these are bad prompts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my data set. All right, and I'm going to go into Paradise Style, and I'm going to grab just Paradise Style. So if I go to comfyui now and just change this here and just say Paradise Style, let's see if we even see anything close to what we want. All right, 0.6. Let's put it on fixed. Steps 20 yet? Let's go. It's running the cosXL workflow, but I put it into RealViz XL. All right, because it's a very simple SDXL workflow. If you, we could even just switch it into cosXL and see what happens, which is quite cool. Let's just see what we get from this. Okay. Paradise XL seems to be making a person. All right. So, see, I wish I had, the only thing is, I don't have the full captions list. I think what I can do is I can just go to the address here, just do that, and it'll take me to the draft page, should do. So I've taken it to the point of posting and then I haven't posted it. So it should take me to the point where, yeah, so now I can see publish. Now see here, training images. I'm going to download that and see if it includes the text files. If it doesn't, then that's annoying. Because basically what we want is we want the training data. So let's go back to training and have a look and see. Oh, go back. If we go full screen, what do we got here? Training details, dataset, 482 megabytes. Right, let's do that. Because what I'm trying to get is the actual captions. So let's see, it's downloading the same thing twice. So let's cancel that one. All right, cool. So what I'm trying to get is the actual merged captions that it did on site. So then I've got a copy of the captions that were actually trained in, because I know that it's not been trained on just the style, right? It's been trained on a whole bunch of other stuff. So, I mean, let's just see if we can mess around while we wait for it. Paradise style depiction of architecture. Still not actually anything like Ground Zero, but it's the style. Probably Paradise style is a bit too much, because Paradise on its own is quite a strong token. It's probably an example of a bad token. Yeah, it's trying to do it, but it's not able to do it. So let's just get a different style real quick. So Cloud Rig. So Cloud Rig is it's two of them together. So let's try that. Interesting. So no, the answer is no. It has not actually learned. So I'm just going to put this up to 1, see if it makes any difference. It's not enough. I think it's not enough. See, I didn't want to use XYZ, ZXF and all that because it's not. Now that worked. That worked. Okay. So we're getting somewhere. This is from the Moon Builder dataset, where it's depictions of a civilization that build moons. Okay. Simple concept, right? The Moon Builders, whatever. But so that did work, right? So it has trained. So, because that's essentially the concept. So I wonder, well, first of all, now we've got one that works. So let's throw cosXL in there and see how it does running cosXL on the same seed. Obviously, it's going to change. It's a completely different model, but I'm just interested. I'm curious. Oh, it's a 512 model. My bad, guys. See, that's laziness right there. Yeah, see. Whoa. Okay, well, it actually did a pretty good job of, you know, considering I pushed it to double. Okay. It's less like, do you know what? Mind you, it was trained at 1024, so that does make sense. It's interesting, though. Pushing cosXL up to 1024 when you have a Lora that's trained on a 1024, obviously it gets more accurate. That's almost, you know, you compare those two images there. And they're pretty close. Obviously, it's interpreted differently because it's a different model, right? I prefer SDXL, but definitely the whites and the blacks are way better with COS. So let's go back to RealViz, because it was actually trained on a SDXL 1024. And let's see a different one, because we're still waiting. Let's try Retro Utopia. So it should come out like this. It won't. I doubt it'll be even close. If I say the picture of architecture, comma, ocean, maybe, but I think I'm leaving out essential tokens. Style is a bit strange like that. See what I mean? See, that's, to me, that looks like it's merged with verticality or hyper future. Verticality had a lot of these details that went up. It certainly saved that dome feature, though, that I was talking about earlier. But again, that's from a completely different model. So it does make me think that there's a little bit of merging going on here. So do you know what? Why don't we try Paris? All right, because this is more like what I wanted to use it for. So Retro Utopia style Paris. Yes. Okay. So what I wanted was to construct a completely new and abstract image from what it knows. So let me see if I can make this more apparent by going back to moon builders. Right. Maybe. You never, it's very unpredictable. Moon builders style, if I go back to this one. Maybe. Because it tries to make something like this. Ooh, okay. What the heck? I mean, hey, it does look a bit like, you know what I mean? Like I need to interpret this from the perspective of what the moon builders dataset was, and it was examples of a city hanging from a moon that was partially built, or a piece of. And the interesting thing about this is now we've got like a weird silhouette of the Eiffel Tower with a really nice moon in the background. I'm not so sure what this is all about. Seems to have gone a bit crazy. But that's really interesting. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes you get really amazing stuff. And it wasn't the Lora. So this is my blind test. I'm holding my fingers right now. Because if it's not different, it's completely different. Okay, that's great. That's great news. So this is what you would have got from SDXL if you didn't load the Lora using the same prompt. And this is actually a pretty good image too. I don't know what that is. Maybe it's Nibiru. But this is actually a pretty good image. But it does prove the Lora is effective, regardless of what it actually learned. So let's try that let's try Mega Street style Paris. Mega Street? Or was it Mega Streets? I think it was just Mega Street. Mega Street style. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, that is completely nothing like what I... Let's turn this one off. Do it again. It's like a sanity check to make sure you're not just convincing yourself that it worked. And as we can see, the effect of Mega Street seems to be to just improve the image. And this is a weird thing which I was trying... Okay, we need to take a few steps back. About a year ago, I was training Loras with 2.1. And something that I noticed, and it was actually brought to the forefront by someone who made a negative embedding by training a bunch of Sketchfab assets. So because it was like obviously 3D rendered, the generation would never go into those spaces, right? And then something I noticed was that when you lightly train certain concepts, certain shapes and patterns, what it can actually do is end up enhancing details. Sometimes it breaks them, sometimes it enhances them. So for example, in this image, which is the Lora off, right? We've got a really good background You know, like the alignment of all the lines is great, but the faces on the people are bad. The actual composition is pretty good though. And then when we put this Lora on, I'll admit the faces aren't perfect. Okay. In fact, sometimes it looks a bit weird. But there are more detailed people in the shot now. But the problem is, look, it seems to have melted the alignment on these windows here. It's more detailed overall and sharper, but it seems to have made some mistakes. Now, Megastreets has nothing to do with people, all right? If I go to Megastreet style, it looks like this. So what's going on? What I think happens is in the UNets, you've got all of these different grid scales. And so you're trying to teach the AI an ability to do these fine details. And so what happens is you end up creating an abstract style model, which has a bunch of different modes, and some of them can enhance your outputs, even if they're not actually making what they were trained on. And I think it's something to do with all the fine detail that it learned. Somehow that translates into a sharper image. And we saw that with 2.1 Loras. So, you know, I mean, there's all sorts of tricks, but it's sort of like teaching it about how to do the fine details. And then it kind of starts to apply them in ways that you wouldn't have thought it would, because this has got nothing, you know. I mean, there's not even a person. I think we can use no humans. And then maybe we can say sci-fi Paris, sci-fi Paris, landscape, no humans, night scene, maybe. And we'll see if that makes any difference. Okay, it did make a difference, but it's still nothing like what, you know, this is, oh, of course it's nothing like it. The Lora's still turned off, so yeah, turn the Lora back on. Okay, so as you can see, once we actually have the tokens, it's doing the style, it's adding the detail, and now it's Paris. And this is exactly what I was trying. So I'm really happy with this, all right? That's an amazing result. So once I get the proper caption list, the next step is to create a full text file with every caption, and then we can run random from prompt, or we can select them, whatever. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll use a word cloud to work out what the most similar tags are, and then you can exploit them more, because obviously there are going to be some strong tags that are repeated a lot in the data set, and there's going to be weak tags which are not. But anyway, this is pretty awesome. So I must have hit a lot of the tags that were trained by accident, you know, just because I'm describing, because all the tagger does is describe the image. So if you describe the image with the same words, you're going to hit on the same captions that were trained. But let's just take a look at the training data zip. Please have, yeah, it has the full thing. Okay, so what we can do is take Sky Monastery Style 4. So that's the full image, the full thing. And we're going to paste that in, and off we go. So this would be an actual caption that was trained into the model. And it's perfect. Yes. Okay, I love it when a plan comes together. So basically, if I just go to Sky Monastery and we can have a look at the ground truth. There we go. So, all right. So they don't all look like that one. Let me see if I can find, oh, actually, maybe they do. Ooh, has it blended? It has kind of blended, but I did kind of want that. Can we see, do we have one which is kind of blur? Ah, yeah, there we go. So this one was an experiment. So I want to explain what that means. So we have 10 images of this high detailed sort of medieval floating monastery type thing in the clouds. So that's what these ones were. We just sort of went through them in various different shapes and sizes, but always above the clouds. You know what I mean? So there's a few rules, you know, that's always going to be present. But then when we get to number 11, I started including these sort of more dreamy, distant, glowy, sparkly shots because I wanted to have a little bit more ethereal, sort of mystic stuff going on. So this is an example of how, because everybody just trains the thing, and that's what I've always been telling people. You know, you put these into folders, describe them, and then it will do what you want. But you can do more than that, and this is something people have been doing for, well, nearly a couple of years now. So what you can do is have 10 images of one style, and then have like 4 images of the other style. And then when you train it all together, you end up with a new style, which is a combination of the two. And obviously it's powered by the base. So do I have another SDXL model available? I don't have it on here at the moment. I have cosXL, but that's a 512 model. Do you know what? Let's do it. I should probably put the tiled VAE on for fun. I don't think it'll make any difference though. I've got plenty of memory. Okay. Do you know what? That's actually pretty cool. Look at the shadow on it. I mean, look, it's not the best image, all right? But this is the other thing, okay? So we can just go extra options, auto cue, and off we go. So let's see what we get. Okay, we get another one. I do like the color range. The thing everyone is sort of missing with CosXL is it can do true white and it can do true black. No other diffusion model had the full true color range. It was only very dark or very light, you know, gray. It wasn't ever full. And like I said, it's a big difference because I appreciate this isn't the most detailed image, but it's hitting the, you know, this is what was trained. It's just kind of being interpreted in a mixed way. So sometimes you're getting the glowy lights. I love these. These are amazing. This is because the thing is, I've got like this airship story I work on. And this is exactly the kind of illustration style I need. So yeah. These are actually coming out really nice. And obviously you can upscale them in, paint them, do whatever you want to them. That's all still on the cards. So as you can see, these are just flying out right now. So I'm just going to stop that for a second. And then we'll just go back to CosXL. Does a bang. Look at that. Does a banging job. Blimey. Do you know what? I want to try another one now. It's addictive, this is. All right, so where's that zip file? There it is. So I will... there's another thing. Right, so check this out. This is something else which I got that you can all go ahead and use. It's on my GitHub. So what we're going to do is we're going to extract the training data that we got from Civit. Okay. Obviously, these screenshots, not screenshots, these images that I've generated will go up on the model page for this. These are really nice. Damn. I bet I could just prompt in a bit of lightning too. See where I didn't remove the moons? And we're getting a moon just sort of appearing out of nowhere. That's sort of part of it. That is a training data thing. So what's this? Wait a minute. There we go. There's all the text files. Cool. So, this is going to be interesting. Okay, so there's the text file, right? So all the text files are in this here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Jupyter again, right? So you remember that from just earlier? Hopefully I've cut this video down and it doesn't take 6 hours to watch. But if I go down to my machines, I'm going to need a bigger folder for this. Thank God. Back. God, Windows, why do you do this? I ain't got time to mess about. Come on, back. Right, I'm going to machines. I've got my Jupyter. So we're going to run that. And while that is running, it will give me a code. So let me just go back to it. Oh yeah, I was doing something. So rude. I'll paste, copy that. And then we go back to my my GitHub, and in the repositories, I think it might be in unsorted as well. I don't think it is though. Caption by file name, caption analysis. No. It's got its own thing. Yeah, so it's this one. So this is all to make a wildcard file from your dataset. So add all captions from a dataset into a single file. Might be for training a prompt generator, wildcards, or GPT training. So we'll open it in Colab. And just like before, we'll go to local runtime, Control A, Control V, and connect. We already copied it. And then we don't need the Colab because we're doing it locally. And then we do need the path to my data set. And then we need to, specify where to save it. So next thing is to go to training data folder, copy the path, back in the Colab. There it is. And then just like this, and just put a slash in, and it's done. All right. So then we run that. We open it up. You can see the code. It's pretty simple. Off it goes. I think it's done. Done already? Uh-oh. Stop. Something happened. Let's find out what happened. This is going to be fun. So, I know what happened. Oh God, it's 1.65 gigabytes. Right. Okay, so what happened there was we had a recursive loop and it started adding the captions file to itself. So we're going to delete that one. I'm going to do it again, but this time we're going to just take it back and call it NTT. So what happened was it added all the captions together, made the file, realized the file with all of them was in the same folder, and then added that, and then realized that file was in it too. And it just kept going and kept going and kept going. And I had a text file that was bigger than the images in seconds. Watch out for that. So yeah, we're going to run the top one, make sure that your captions are not in the same path. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, so it's a pretty obvious problem, really, but whatever. Okay, we've done it. Okay, so then we have not the true world captions done. So let's close this. I don't need that one. I need this one. We'll go back. NTT captions like this. Control C. 8,000 items. Ah, that's in my downloads folder. I was going to say, I thought that was the number of lines. So we'll do a primitive, right? And then we will take a right click. This is already a primitive. Okay, cool. So put that into the clipping code for both the G and the, wait a minute. No. Bring it on back. So what I want to do is I want to paste all of those captions into a single thing, but that's not actually enough. We need to do more than that. So what we're going to do is we're going to convert this to seed, minimize this for now, I'll come back to it. So now we've got a seed here. We can do another primitive for the seed. All right. So then we've controlled the seed for the generation here. And what I'm going to do for speed is tie them to the selection of the line. But you can have just, you can have another seed for determining the line. So if I say random, text random line, right? Text random line, convert to seed to input. Yeah, like I said, plug that in, and then open up our clip encoder and plug these in to there. We can get rid of this, color this green if you want, keep it easy to understand. Put that there. And then put the random prompt there and the thing here. Now you can obviously do concatenation where you could have this be at a lower weight than another prompt you bring in. But just for the purpose of going through, this is really just so I can see what's in here quickly. Because if I put this on random and then just go auto queue, right? It's just going to start firing out images You know, and I can use them for the demo for the model anyway. So off it goes. Oh yeah, these are all CosXL. Yeah, they're nice. Cami Palace. Overwater or Waterworld. Empire, something Empire. Moon Builders, maybe? No, this is classic. Oh, that's a bit messed up. There weren't enough images for that one. Oh, yeah, there it is. Rock House. Okay. Another palace. A monastery, even. Yes, finally, there it is. That's the Paradise style I was looking for. That's an interesting mix. Yep, that's like the fantasy style. Another moon builder. Another moon builder. Ah, cool. That's one of the utopias. That's the Skyforge, but it's on the ground for some reason, so it missed that. Another monastery, but mixed up with a relic style. That's also relic style. I think that's like some kind of end of the world stuff. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So it's all coming out nice, right? Ah, there you go. There's one of the cloud rigs. It actually did kind of work. Just getting a bit confused. Okay, cool. So I'll let this run, and then we'll pick the best 20 and put them up on the model page. It's pretty much, you know. I should also run it in SDXL real quick. These were all CosXL, and they came out so nice. Damn. A little bit weird when you zoom in, though. But that's probably my fault, you know what I mean? Like, I've got to take some responsibility as the guy who just threw 300 images at an auto trainer and expected it to stick. So, but credit where credit's due, that on-site trainer is continuing to impress. I should probably, ooh, okay. We got a bit of a waterfront. So overwater, that's overwater, but it's not, it's done a Manhattan shot, like a waterfront shot. Okay, but it has got it's learned the same aesthetic for, you know, the way the cranes are drawn. Everything's like lines and things. I love it. Okay, cool. So let's continue. Oh, wait, that's the wrong button. It's that one I want. Oh, that's really nice. That's come out exactly right. See how the lack of black to white leads to a washed out image? Because it can't, this was quite a misty data set. So when you do it, because it doesn't, well, I never really noticed it until we got CosXL. And you can argue that you could just go in and do levels, but, you know, anything which reduces the work is what you want. More Skyforge, looks good. That's Proxima. So, like, you know, some kind of alien world, alien civilizations, ancient, more ruins, relic, another monastery. That monastery is really good. Well, Proxima, moon builders. Oh yes, here we go. Hyperfuture and Outpost. It's kind of gotten. See how the moon builders thing has bled into this concept. I wanted to have a look at this one. It went away. Okay, so the small details aren't very good. So what that tells me is I could probably improve the model with a regularization set of a bunch of crowds of people, right? Just a sea of people, just a square shot of a sea of people in various different clothings and settings. If I could add that, I bet that could improve its knowledge of these, because that's something I've never seen anybody do, is improve the quality of little people. And I think the problem is it's very difficult to do, because they are just a few pixels, right? Anyway, let's have a look at that. We've looked at that. Another one. We got a city over the water. Another fantasy world. More of the verticality set. Ah, the jungle stuff looks good. This always comes out nice. And we've got some horror. Verticality again. Okay. All right. I've got enough. Stop. Too many. You can only have 20 images to demo the model, you know? All right. So that was a success. Things have come out as good as or better than in most cases. Out of 30 styles, you know, I would have hoped for most of them. I would have been okay if a few of them looked a bit weird. And because to be honest, it depends what you prompt. And as I showed at the beginning, if you just put in a style trigger, it's not really enough. That's why I don't really say it has a style trigger. I more provide a list of what it was actually trained on. Because the reality is, if you take a mix of all these different things and put them together, that's how you're actually going to get something interesting. So, like if I take Neo Future and Overgrown, look, these two are different styles. Let's just disable that and open this up and get another primitive real quick. I just want to show this. So we'll go in here and we'll go in here. Oh, didn't work. Let's try it again. There, right. And then we'll paste in that prompt, which is actually 2 prompts, right? So what we'll do is we'll just take this one and put it in brackets and put them on the same line. So it's going to prioritize Jungle City over Neo Future for this first one. We probably don't need the numbers either. I'm just going to erase them. There we go. Off we go. Okay, so it's made Jungle Neo Future style, right? But if I was to say 0.5 on the jungle stuff, we get less jungle. Not a lot less jungle, but we get less jungle. And then, of course, if I was to take relic style, because Neo Future's quite washed out, really you want cosXL to get the full range on that one. If I go to here and just put relic style in, get rid of this. There we go, off. And it's a different seed, obviously. I'm not comparing seed for seed. But as you can see here, we've got the relic style building, but now there's jungle influence. And then obviously if I was to just put that to 1 and go, this is simple prompt editing stuff. But my point is that you can augment and combine 2 sets of, you know, because if you had 2 styles that you've worked on, this is, you know, you probably know this, but maybe some of you don't. And there are more advanced ways of chaining things too. You know, there's more advanced expressions that allow you to go from A to B to C. You can even arc towards B, but never get there and just end up at C. There's a lot of stuff you can do with prompt editing and traveling, and you know, the engineering is actually quite dense. So I don't want to get too much into that because this is about data sets. But I hope that from this you've managed to put together, especially with this one, that Sky Monastery is a combination of 2 completely different styles trained together to get a new style. And you can do stuff like that with any set of images. You know, you could train Batman and Wonder Woman together and make a Batwoman Wonder Bat, I don't know, right? And you can take that further, you know what I mean? But I don't want to, you know, because this is like, at this point, we're mixing paint to make new colors. There is no point sort of listing what you can do because it's like the full range. It's everything. But anyway, this model is going to be up on Civit. I'll put the demo images up with it. You've already got this workflow. It's part of the CosXL pack. Quick reminder, CosXL at 1024 with a is even better. I don't even know how that works, but it just works. Let's go. Let's see. Come on, do me proud, because I want this kind of thing for my world. What happened? Okay, so not perfect, actually. Not perfect. What about if we tried our favorite, our old friend 768? Eh? Our old friend. Let's see. How are we doing at 768? Yeah, it's looking good. It's looking good. Okay. So, I think I did. Let me check. Aspect. So my aspect size mod doesn't have 2.1. Fail. So basically I'm going to have to make a 2.1 mod. I have to make a 2.1, like a 768 by 768 auto aspector, so that we can exploit that. So there we go. I've got to do an update now. Oh no. Oh well. So this is going to go off of 512 by 512. Can we actually put it the right way around, please? Come on. So this is going to go by 512 by 512. And it's not very good. It's not very good. It's a bit rough training an SDX. Like, you shouldn't be able to run an SDXL Lora on there on CosXL because it's wrong architecture. So I expect it's just doing its best with my idiocy. So this is what I would have expected to see. This has gone back to what it should have been. It's actually really cool. Really cool. All right. So yeah, model works. It's doing what I wanted. The next thing for me to test is to make sure that if I put something image, so if I say I take a picture of a house and then I put that image through a preset workflow and have a style selector, we can sort of reimagine in the theme or defined style that we've taught. So, you know, that offers you a way to transform anything into your own work. Because the idea is that you train these models on your own stuff. But anyway, I think we finally got to the end of the video, because this has been a long one. Very long one. Probably going to take me ages to cut down. But we finally got there. So hopefully this has added a bit more detail on how the model is trained, how the data set is made, how to then get results out of it. And, you know, I've been trying to sort of add a bit more depth each time as we increase complexity and move forward. There'll still be basic stuff. I'm not going to like completely go crazy, but I do think that it's time to sort of do some more complicated things now we've got a lot of the basics out of the way. And then, you know, the crash course is pretty good. There's a few things I haven't covered there yet, but I think we're there. So once again, thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking the video. I don't say that enough or often. Thank you for everybody who's come and joined on the Discord. A couple of people have sent me tips that have been pretty cool, and there'll be videos on some of those things in the future. There's a couple of interesting services I want to look at. And I think that's pretty much, that wraps it up for today. So thanks again. I'll see you next time.